Hello, and thank you so much for joining us as we talk today about how to go about finding many of the resources that we will discuss in the Midwest New Mexico CAP, Head Start, and Early Head Start Education Training Series. The learning objective for this video is to know where to go for the following resources that are discussed in the training series. The Early Childhood Learning and Knowledge Center, most of the time referred to as ECLIC, the Teaching Strategies website, the agency website, and where to go to find the Education Procedures and Forms folder in the drive. Okay, with those learning objectives in mind, let's start with the Early Childhood Learning and Knowledge Center. The Early Childhood Learning and Knowledge Center, often referred to as ECLIC, is you can reach this website at eclkc.ohs. And on this website, you will find many of the documents and the procedures that we talk about in the training series, including the Head Start Program Performance Standards, the Early Learning Outcomes Framework. There's a wealth of professional development opportunities on ECLIC, and that includes the required training for new education team members, which is the Beginning Teacher Series. And finally, the ability to search through a variety of topics on ECLIC as needed or as questions arise. So let's take a minute just to look at ECLIC and kind of what that looks like. So if I am going from Google or any search engine, I am going to type in eclkc.ohs. And I want to access ECLIC here through the ECLIC website. When I click on it, what is going to come up is the ECLIC homepage. Okay? And you can see here right away a search bar, and putting anything into the search bar will allow you to search through ECLIC. So if I'm looking for the Early Outcomes Framework, I can search the Early Outcomes Framework, and there will be a number of resources available to me by doing that. We mentioned the Beginning Teacher Series, and so if I search for Beginning Teacher Series, I can find resources available for that. So that is an example of what ECLIC looks like and how to get there from your search engine. A couple of times during the training series, teaching strategies is mentioned. Teaching strategies, of course, is where education handles all of our lesson plans, our observation information, where we input observations, where we complete all of our ranking, and it has all of our data. But during the training series, it is mentioned in terms of professional development and where to go for professional development. So I want to talk about that now. And let's take a look at where we will go with teaching strategies. So we're going to put in teachingstrategies.com, and that will take us to the Teaching Strategies login page. If you are an education team member, you will receive your login from your coach for teaching strategies. You will go ahead and log in to the Teaching Strategies page. Now, whenever any information is referenced in the training series for teaching strategies, in terms of training, we're going to use the Develop tab, and the Develop tab is up at the top. And when we click on the Develop tab, it'll take us into our online professional development training series. And so if you are a brand new team member, then you have a couple of trainings that must be completed prior to working on teaching strategies. And again, your coach and center director have that information. But those include like introducing my teaching strategies and the objectives for development and learning. Also during the year, for our professional development, sometimes we will complete these trainings through the Develop tab. As part of our monthly professional development. You can see here up at the top, if you are Head Start, you will use the Preschool tab. If you are infant and toddler teacher or an Early Head Start teacher, you'll use this Infants, Toddlers, and Twos tab. Also, through my teaching strategies is the Inter-Rater Reliability And again, this is part of our beginning training requirements for education. And again, your coach or center director will be able to give you some guidance here about this, but this part is required for every education team member. So that's how you access that. So again, through the Develop tab on my teaching strategies. One other area that is sometimes mentioned in the training series is the report function. And so you can see up here at the top, the report area. And if you go in here, this allows you to run reports on the data that teachers enter. And of course, you have access to your own data, to your own classroom data. And during one of the trainings, specifically the class profile report is managed. And so you can see that this is where you would go for that. During the training series, a couple of times, the work website, ourkidsrock.com, is mentioned as a place to go ahead and get some resources. And so we can find at the ourkidsrock.com page access to the education procedures and forms. And also the handbooks, the staff handbook, the family handbook, and also our policies and procedures are on the ourkidsrock.com page, as well as some other documents, including human resources documents. Let's take a look really quickly at what it looks like on the ourkidsrock.com page. So I'm going to go to www.ourkidsrock.com, and whenever I enter this page, I want to access this page through the work site. That's where all of the forms are. So I'm going to select work site. And here in the password protected area, that password is MWNMCAP, all lowercase. Again, that's MWNMCAP. If you get confused about that, it's right here at the bottom, only we want to put that in lowercase. Okay, and then I will select Login. And you can see here we have a tab called Education Forms. If I select that tab, I can click here on this big yellow button for Education Procedures and Forms. And that is going to take me directly into the drive for our procedures and forms. Okay, so again, from the Midwest New Mexico CAP website, here on Education Forms, and then into Procedures and Forms. This is also, as I mentioned before, the place where you might go to find HR documents, where if you had questions about the time clock, you might go. Training, so there are some additional forms on this website. One area that we use a lot of is the drive, and the drive should first of all be attached to your Midwest New Mexico CAP Our Kids Rock email. Okay, and we're going to take a look at the Education Procedures and Forms folder today. It's referenced in the training series very regularly. So the Education Procedures and Forms folder contains really all of the documents that education uses. It contains our procedures and forms. It also contains our in-kind for the year. That in-kind has already been filled out in terms of goals. The Procedures and Forms folder also includes screener information, so the DECA, the Brigance. It includes some forms if you should need them in an emergency. Also, it has the calendars, including the curriculum calendar. It has the professional development calendar in it. All of our extended curriculum, and so this is mental health, safety. That curriculum is in the Procedures and Forms folder. The creative curriculum resources, and these are our letters to families, that's in this folder. And finally, school readiness goals are in this folder. So let's just take a look at our Procedures and Forms folder. And I'm going to go right into that folder. Again, if you go into your drive, and remember that we want to make sure that the drive that we're using is the one that is associated with our Kids Rock email. But if I go into my drive and I want to find this folder, I can just start typing in Education Procedures and Forms. Okay, so I have Education Procedures and Forms, and there is a folder titled that. Okay, And this is what it looks like inside of this folder. So there's a lot of documents here. And I just want to give you a quick overview. If you're not familiar with the view options here, you can look at this as a list view. So if you noticed, mine came up with the icon showing, but right here, there is the option to turn this into a list view. And if that's easier for you to look at, because remember our procedures are in numerical order. And so if that's easier for you to look at, that's the way to go about doing that. I'm going to turn mine back into icons. And so you can see here that what pops up right away are all of our procedures and forms, and the ones that have a numerical value assigned to them, and they are in order. Okay. Our 1300 forms are forms that are shared with all of Head Start and Early Head Start. 1400 forms are forms that are specific to Head Start, and then you have your 1500 forms that are specific to Early Head Start. Down at the bottom of this part of our drive, you can see here we have some extra resources. And so the ELOF is in here. That's the Early Learning Outcomes Framework. So if you ever need a copy of that, that is in your procedures folder. We have our field trip request and permission forms in this folder. Here you can see our Head Start program performance standards are in this folder. Our nutrition request, if you want to do a nutrition activity. And then we have our PBIS. Family handbooks are in this folder, both English and Spanish, and our team expectations. Okay, I'm going to scroll up to the top of the procedures and forms folder. And there are some additional folders up here. And so I just want to talk really quickly about what each of these is. Up at the top of the procedures and forms is calendars. And so if we open up calendars, again, you have copies of all of the calendars that we use. We have education dates, we have the calendars that are in our teacher binders, and then we have the curriculum calendars for both Early Head Start and Head Start, and also the professional development calendar. I'm going to go back one step to education procedures and forms, and you can see here these are the cover pages of all of our teacher binders and any of our binders. Here are our creative curriculum resources, and again these are the letters to families for both twos and for preschool. I'm going to back up one, and here is the extended curriculum for the year. And these are broken apart by month, so that if you need to get your extended curriculum, that is where you would locate it. In kind is in this procedures folder. And you can see here we have a folder for Early Head Start and a folder for Head Start. And then we have an original. Okay. If I go into the Head Start folder, I have both types of in-kind that education uses. I have the at-home in-kind. This is the in-kind that is sent home with newsletters. And I have individual volunteer in-kind. And this is the in-kind that is used in classrooms. I'm going to select that home in-kind, and you can see here that those are available in English and Spanish. Okay, so just backing up a couple of steps. Back to my education procedures and forms. Our school readiness goals are also in this folder, and so if I click into the folder, you have those for Early Head Start and Head Start in English and Spanish, as well as the slides. And again, backing up back to the procedures folder, you also have access to your screeners. Now, you can get copies of the original screener from your coach, but if you have questions about screeners, there are some that, well, actually the Berganza manuals are in here for both Head Start and Early Head Start. So if you don't, for some reason, have access to your Berganza manual, it is in this folder. And you also have copies of the forms for scoring in this folder. Okay, so that's your screeners folder. So that is a lot of information about what is in this education procedures and forms folder. And really everything that education uses on a daily basis, monthly, annually, those forms are in this folder, and you are able to access them Just remember, if you are trying to access a form that you want to type into, so let me say like I would like to access the family contact form and I want to type into it, just don't forget that you do not have editing access to this form, so you will need to go to File and make a copy. And once you have a copy, you can type into it. That is a lot of information about different places to access resources. If you have questions or you need any assistance accessing those resources, your coach, your center director, or the education manager are happy to help. Just reach out to them. Thank you so much for joining us today.